Warning, this podcast is intended for consenting adults. We're talking about all things non-monogamy, which means some of our conversations are going to get down and dirty. Please know we are not professionals, and these are strictly our views and opinions and in no way represent the opinions of our employers. We respect others' opinions as we know everyone in the world of non-monogamy does it differently. Hope you enjoy.
And welcome to Pinky and Ava's Pajama Party. I'm your host, Ava Moore, and I'm here with my soul sister, Pinky Grayman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you this evening, my friend?
I am so excited, and I can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. I can't stop saying
lately
this.
with you.
I love
know.
it.
I love the enthusiasm. So tonight we're going to do things a little different. We're talking about a little bit of a different topic. We're going pop culture this evening. And we're talking about a show on Netflix that has been very, very, very popular. I first heard about it on Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard and Monica Padman. Yes, I'm an armchairy.
Yes.
And it's the Netflix show Nobody Wants This with Kristen Bell and Adam Brody. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's a series about an agnostic sex podcaster. We could totally relate with that, right?
Yes.
And a newly single rabbi who fall in love, and they're discovering if their relationship can survive their wildly different lives and meddling families. So I had watched it, and I thought it was great. And then one day Pinky called me and is like, oh my goodness, you have to watch this show. And I was like, oh, I've already seen it. And then she proceeded to yell at me.
And that's where I come in. So in life, I actually took one of the workshops that I love workshops. I went to a yoga retreat center and there was a spiritual leader there who was talking about that we in life concentrating on a negative more than a positive. And she was talking about that we always know that things come in threes, and most of it is associated with negative things, right? So she actually talked about why don't we concentrate on the positive things? Because everything in life comes in waves, right? So why am I talking about this? Because this show came to me from 3 different sources. And it was pretty amazing. So first of all, I was talking to my partner, one of my partners, and he said, oh, my wife made me watch this show, and it's really good. And yep. I was like, what's the name of it? He's like, Nobody Wants This. I'm like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what it is. Okay, so let it go. Then I came home that day, and I was just tired of doing whatever I'm doing in terms of my work and, blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to decompress. I started to watch the show, and then I called you and I said, literally the moment I started watching the show, within 10 minutes, the first season, second episode goes into a podcast and how she talks about sexuality, how it's important to empower women. I'm calling Ava Moore. I'm like, did you hear this? Did you see the show? And she's like, oh yeah. I'm like, wait. You were watching the show and you were thinking about it, that we should talk about this. I don't even know if you were thinking about the podcast or just you and I.
I wasn't thinking about the podcast. I was just like, oh, we could relate to that. And then the thought went out of my head. It was never even something where I was like, oh, I have to tell Pinky to watch this, or, oh, we need to talk about it. It was just like, oh, I can understand that. And I kept watching. That is all.
I can't believe it. If anybody would see my eyes, I have big, huge eyes, and they're popping out right now, with, what is wrong with you? This is totally
She was so mad
theme.
At me.
I was like, what is wrong with you? This is I didn't even know how, when it was first came to air, and it was September 26th of this year. It really recently that it's actually
brand new. Yeah.
Yeah, brand new. And it's rom-com. how you pronounce
Yep, it's
it?
a rom-com.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's my husband explained to me what rom-com is. I did not know. Sorry, I'm a foreigner,
Anthony.
Yeah, a romantic comedy. To be precise, now I know. I thought it was like, like in languages have like the short sayings that are just meaningful for that particular thing. I'm like, that's what people call it. Like, I don't know what it is. I didn't even know
it meant romantic
I didn't even know
comedy.
romantic comedy.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, it's just whatever
It's
that
a rom-com.
is. Yeah, it's a rom-com. Okay, now I know what it is. Okay. I didn't know what it means. So, long story short, yeah. I mean, you live and you learn every day, right? In particular, I've been here for so many years, 30 years, right? I should be assimilated, acclimated, whatever you want to call it, but it's just not happening.
That's okay. That's okay.
So then
it's okay.
I call my other girlfriend, who is vanilla as it gets. I said, listen, did you see the show? Oh, yes, I did. And she's like, oh, I was thinking about you. I was thinking about your podcast. And she said, I should have told you something. And I wanted to tell you, but then I forgot. I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with people? Why are they just like knock on your door? Pinky, you need to see this. What is wrong with society? Hello?
We were all thinking it and nobody said it until you called me and were like, we need to talk about this because they said things about their podcast that ring true to our podcast. And there were things that the woman went through as this relationship progressed that you and I as women could relate to, especially prior to getting into non-monogamy.
Oh my God, it resonates in so many different levels. So we took a lot of notes. So I don't even know where to start, but something that it resonates in terms of being a podcast that deals with sexuality, right? And in particular women's sexuality, something that I really was inspired by. What about you, Ava?
I was totally inspired, and I wrote the direct quote of what she said in the movie to explain her podcast. And I think this definitely resonates with us. So she goes, sex isn't the point of the podcast. And the male in the scene, her boyfriend, he goes, you just want your audience feeling as comfortable about opening up as you do, which is so true, right? On our part. And she goes, exactly. I want them to feel empowered. And then he goes, plus, now I know what to dill do and dill don't, which I thought was hilarious.
I know. I love that.
But basically, we want to normalize non-monogamy. We want people to feel comfortable discussing their relationships, discussing their journey. And we talk all the time. It's not just about sex. It's about the relationships and the empowerment. So I felt that was so powerful when she said that.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that you've said. And I want you to continue what you have written afterwards because it's so juicy.
Okay. So then at another point in I think the next episode, Kristen Bell and Adam Brody are discussing the podcast again. And he goes, is there a flip side for everyone knowing every intimate detail of your life? Once you say something, you can't get it back. So it's funny because we do discuss every intimate detail of our lives on the podcast, right? And it's especially on the pajama party, and it's kind of become a how-to book for our partners because there's no guessing game anymore. You and I say what we like. It's basically a roadmap for them.
Yes.
So
if you're smart, you're going to listen to it and
right.
wanted to learn. Actually, not all my partners are listening to it. It's
not
funny.
all my partners listen either. Some of them are like, no, I want to keep that separate from our relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which I respect 100%.
Yeah, I agree with that.
100%. But it's funny because you and I approach it differently too. You, when you meet somebody new, you're like, listen to my podcast if you want to know about me. And me, I do not lead with the podcast. Like, I don't even tell people initially that I have a podcast because I want to get to know somebody first. And I want them to get to know me without hearing every single intimate detail of my life on the podcast. I just started a new relationship with someone, and we'll have a pajama party coming up to discuss that. And he said to me, he's like, I don't want to listen to it. And I was very grateful because he wanted to learn about me between my interactions between him and I, and not just listening to every intimate detail. But actually, you have a different spin on things.
No, it's totally fine. And actually, I think your partner and the partner that is not really listening to any of that, Osprey, is the same way. He's just, I want you as you are, authentic you when you're with me. And I think because I would say your partner and Osprey are very similar. What did you call him? Spill the beans.
They are both Pinky with the penis.
Oh my God. Thank you.
If Osprey didn't already have Pinky with a penis as his nickname, my new partner would have been Pinky with a penis. So
you're surrounded by Pinky everywhere. God damn, it's Pinky Junior, Pinky Penis, Pinky.
I cannot escape the Pinky personality.
And I am so touched by it because I feel like we've talked about it, and I don't want to deviate to it. I want to go back to the Netflix original where we talk about Nobody Wants This. But I still want to talk about how there is a saying, people come into your life for a season, for a reason, or for a lifetime. And I feel like because you have opened up yourself to be in a relationship with me and take me as I am, literally, you've seen me through thick and thin by now. This is our third year together.
We're going into our third year.
Third year. And in the beginning, I think within a year, you've seen me at my worst because I was exploring. Yeah, sure. I was exploring non-monogamy, and I got into a relationship with somebody who I shouldn't have been in a relationship with, but you just don't know. And I remember the moment when I called you once, and I was having a really hard time with this person, and you told me literally, "You're hurting my friend, and now I'm gonna have to step back." And that is so important in a relationship. In any kind of relationship, there is boundaries. There is respect and there's boundaries. You did not yell at me. You did not say, what the fuck are you doing? You know, this dick does not deserve your time and effort. He's hurting you. You just step aside and you said, it's not for me to be involved in it, and I'll separate myself. And I respect that greatly. But you've seen me through the thick and thin, and you have been willing to walk with me and feel my vibration. And I think because of that, you have respectfully accepted this new gift of yours that has been delivered to you at your front door. And a partner of yours who has told you, like, I wanted to get to know you better first before we're going to get into the intercourse. And you were like always driven by, let's fuck first and get to know each other better later. Yep. And you were like, oh, okay, we can do this. Before, like you told me yourself, I don't want to speak for you. You'll be like, what is wrong with you? Like, don't you want to just fuck me?
I'd be like, oh, he doesn't like me, right? So yes, it has been very different. But circle back to our topic.
Yes.
One of the other things that happened in the first couple of episodes when they were talking about the podcast, they were talking about how Adam Brody's character's parents encouraged them to keep things private as a kid because of their background, right? And that he couldn't understand why Kristen Bell would talk about everything on the podcast. And even though he respected it and he understood that she was trying to get people to feel comfortable with themselves and comfortable about communicating about things that people don't usually talk about, he just couldn't understand still being so open and honest with the world. So she said to him, to that point, do we really need to tiptoe around all the issues that make us uncomfortable? Or is that part of the problem? Like money, relationships, and sex. If you think more people said it out loud, what they like and what they don't like, then we would realize that it's just normal.
Oh my God, I love this.
And I think that's what you and I do, right?
Yeah.
We and Anthony, through our podcast, we talk about what we like and we talk about what we don't like. And it's to make people realize that what we do is normal. The kind of relationships we have, whether they're poly relationships, swinging relationships, they're normal relationships. They may just be different than the relationships that other people have, but there's nothing wrong with them. And we're not afraid to talk about it, because why should we tiptoe around it? We want people to see and realize that it's totally normal.
That is so important. And I feel like a true, authentic self shines through it. And that's why people wanted to hear us, real stories, because we're regular people. Nothing is different. We have families, we have responsibilities, we have jobs, we have, we still have to do
We have friends we don't fuck.
Yeah, we still have to do groceries and we still have to cook and clean and whatever, everything else that normal people do. However, we have a little bit more of, and I think I always been like this. And I think that's one of the parts that I'm going to come into it, when I'm going to talk about what she really struck me to the core. When there was a scene when they were talking about the relationships, and Noah asked her, what is she afraid of? And she had to turn away from him to tell him what she's afraid of. And this is a quote. I'm realizing my biggest fear is that I will become emotionally dependent on that guy who will realize one day that I am too much. And he will break my heart. And I love that.
Right.
I love that because I've always in my life felt like I am too much. I'm too loud. And I'm actually going to read a poem about it later on, closer to the end of a conversation about women being too much. And the idea of it that we're not welcome in a society the way we are. We always have to put a mask on to go into the world and be somebody else. Because if we all strip down to our core, some of us are just, nobody's perfect. We all have imperfections. And as long as we are coming to the table, authentic selves, and like being, like I always say, open and raw, most of the time, people respect that and they feel you and they want to have that more of authenticity that is so hard to find in the world.
And I encourage you to be too much, because that's you, right? Be who you are. Be as much as you want to be. It doesn't matter what society says we should be. We're proof that going outside of what society says you can do is good, right?
Yeah.
So society says women should not be too loud, not be too argumentative. Our opinions should not be always, brought to the front, or maybe they're not always welcome. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Be too much.
Be your authentic self, definitely.
Be your authentic self. I so respect that. Because the quote that you read could be me, but when I was younger, it wasn't my fear of being too much. It was being not enough.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I so respect, go for the too much. Be who you are, no matter what.
One more thing that I want to talk about that Kristen Bell, Joanne, was dealing with it, that pressure of women bending down for a man. Okay, yep. That is very important because I come from a Jewish household and I can totally associate what she was going through. She was bending in so many different ways. First of all, for a podcast, she had to, she is the single woman who is always involved with sexual, relationships, whatever format, that are not working out, whatever. So that's what the podcast is thriving on. And now she's in a relationship with a rabbi, right? So what is like completely contrast, right?
It totally flips the podcast on its side, right?
Then
From
her
what it's supposed to be.
sister is like flipping because she's seeing her sister completely being changed. She does not like baseball. And then there's a whole scene where she basketball, when she goes and she supports him, right? That's number one. Number two, major thing, she's thinking about converting to Judaism. And it was funny, there's a scene when her friends are sitting down and they have dinner, and one of them said, but do you know what it means to actually convert? And then they started to Google, and they said, Google in 3 months, no wig need to be worn.
Yep.
And no wig. She's like, yeah, no wig. I'm going to take this, so it's like,
sounded like something she could do.
Yes.
Initially.
There's, what is it? Grasping for straws,
Straws, yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that it's like desperate because she really likes him. She doesn't want to lose him. And she knows that for him, being a rabbi is all who he is as a person, like everything what she knows of him. And she wants to accept him. But of course, the community, and I mean, the visit that was the dinner with the mother was hilarious. She actually brought a spread for brunch, but it was a bruschetta. And bruschetta is a pork, right? Jews and pork. So
prosciutto,
right? Prosciutto, right? Yes. So the mom takes the box and she throws it in the garbage. Then there's a scene when mom gets up from the table because there was an argument. She was upset, so she left to the kitchen. She's not allowing anybody to walk into her kitchen. Joanne says, it's my thing with your mom. I'm going to talk to her. So she goes into the kitchen and she sees mom picking up that box from the garbage, eating that meat. And she caught her red-handed.
Priceless.
It was hilarious. And now she got an upper hand over the mom, right? So it was like this power exchange. It's just constantly between women. Oh my God, it's just so intricate. So here, I wanted to say, so in the end, I don't want to spoil the whatever, but the whole idea of empowering women and how she realizes this is something that it's not who she is. She walks away from him and she says, I cannot do this because this is not who I am. And I know you cannot have both worlds, okay? You cannot have Goya, that's what it's called, a woman or a man who is not Jewish in a Jewish world, it being in your life if I don't convert. And the whole idea of like, oh my God, the last kiss, he said to her, put the ice cream away, put the bag down.
The first kiss, yeah.
Yeah, and just like embraced her and kissed her. Oh my God. So the whole idea of how they managed to play around the whole idea of religion and sexuality, sensuality, and playfulness around it, and also put it all in there where women in many cultures have to bend down for men and tweak themselves for the man to accept them into the household. That is so raw to me because this is what I've lived through. And I wanted to say there's nothing wrong with religion. Please, I believe that a lot of people thrive on it. Totally. If it works for you, do it, okay? I'm not bashing anybody's religion. All I'm saying is women have to be true to themselves. And if that's something she's totally not, And then she's walking the walk and she's trying so hard to impress his family. You know, she's dressing up in this dress that she's not hers. Her daughter, her sister is saying on the phone, she's like, what kind of dress are you wearing? So she went and she changed into jeans and a shirt. That's something that she usually wears for dinner, and she felt comfortable. You know, but the whole idea of like this pressure, this cultural societal pressure on women, on us, it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or not. We all feel it.
Right. All different cultures have that kind of pressure. And as I was watching it, I was going, when I was younger, I would have converted for him. I just would have been like, this is what you want. This is what you need. Okay. No big deal. Kind of like she did at first.
Yes, definitely.
But I don't think when I was younger, I would have had the strength that she had, because it was okay, kind of, you know, bend to my partner, even though that's not really, you know, how I was raised. I was raised to be a strong woman. I still probably would have converted. Now I would do what she did, right? And be like, I'm sorry, that's not me. I can't change myself so drastically, right? But I know when I was younger, I would have been like, okay, sign me up, you know? So It was very interesting to see her come to the revelation that she was like, I just can't do it. And she was strong enough to stand up and say that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was extremely weak when I was younger. The way I was raised, man is going to take care of you. And then the reality was, no man is going to take care of you. You got to take care of yourself. And then whoever wants to be in your life, they will be in your life, because they're going to respect you for who you are. But it's been years of coming to where I am right now in terms of realizing what's important for me. I'm not saying that, you know, some women do not want that. They just want to be taken care of. And listen, I want to be taken care of, but there's a different levels for me of how I want to be taken care of.
Sure. And I grew up in a household, and the message was, you cannot expect a man to take care of you. You need to learn how to take care of yourself. So that's the message I received.
It's funny because I've been raised in the household where man is going to take care of you. However, every man that I hook up with barely could take care of themselves. It's like,
those are the men I was in relationships with too at one point in my life.
I was taking care of them
over and over again. I took care of them too. They were living with me, and you know, I was paying all the bills and whatever. So yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad because I feel like, a lot of force towards women being now more independent. You know, we want that, but at what cost? Again, like if you're in a relationship, you have to be able to bend down a little bit. You cannot just be, it's my way or highway. You have to find a balance.
Of course.
And that is what I feel like on the end of the movie, where he walked away and, you know, he found her again, and he came back and she said to him, don't follow me.
Spoiler alert.
Huh?
Is it spoiler alert?
Yeah. I mean, probably whoever's seen it, whoever's listening to that already, probably.
Hopefully you already saw it. Yeah.
We can cut that if you want to.
No. Go no.
Okay.
It was just a spoiler alert. That's all.
Okay. So the whole idea of like, she's asking him not to follow. And of course, every woman wants the guy to fight, you know, and then he finds her and then she looks at his eyes, and he's telling her, she's telling him like, I told you not to follow me. And he's like, I know you didn't mean that. Yes, she did not mean that. She wanted him to drop everything for her, and he did that, which is amazing because for him, his father was sitting at the table right before he takes off to look for her. He says, this is all you wanted it. You want to be rabbi I remember you from your childhood, you know, and now you're going to throw everything away. Like Dad did not know what was going on in his head, but in his head, that was like either her or the religion, you know, and I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, hopefully we'll find a way to more of that. But the whole idea of, it's hard to find balance in society. And that's why I'm like, I feel like religion for me, I am very spiritual. However, religion for me was very confined. It's either black or white. There's nothing in the middle. So I had to step away and find my spirituality, the way I feel comfortable leading this life of mine, you know? It's just hard. Yeah. It's hard.
It was interesting to see like how the family too, was not accepting necessarily of her. And while my mom knows, right, that I'm non-monogamous, the rest of my family members do not. So I wonder, if I would face the same challenges, she was facing or they were facing together, because they were having a different type of relationship than what the family was used to. If there would be parallels between, okay, everybody, I'm bringing 2 of my partners to Thanksgiving dinner, right?
I know.
When it's not what people are used to, there's that, pushback.
Yeah, the judgment comes in.
Yeah.
And I like when it reminds me of a Greek wedding movie. Remember when they?
Oh yeah, my big fat Greek wedding.
Yeah, when a brother's joking with a groom, saying, like they're hugging him and they're saying, you safe, you good, we'll kill you if you're gonna do something with her.
To her, yeah.
Yeah, and the same thing here, where the mother's hugging her after the incident that she got caught,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's hugging her to say goodbye, and then she says, "You're not marrying him."
Yeah.
Like,
She's like, I like you more than I expected, but you are not marrying him.
my son, yeah. So it's like,
Yes.
it's just totally like this thread of like, I'm sorry, you're not good enough. And the whole idea of like, yeah, it's just, we're all people here. We're living on the same earth. Yes, we believe in different things, but nobody is above anybody. And the way I was raised, Jewish religion, we're above everybody, literally. Just because we're Jews, like my dad still tells me, you are sacred, right? You're above. And I'm like, oh my God, Dad, stop. But it's just how we were raised.
And I think that applies in so many areas, like religion, relationships, right? Like people who are married in society are valued more than people who are not married. I mean, we see that whole argument going on right now. People who have kids are valued more than people who choose not to have kids, right? People who are in monogamous relationships are valued much more than people who are in non-monogamous relationships. So there's so many parallels, to that. There's so much judgment in society of what people think is right and wrong and who's better and who's less. And that's so not fair. That's so not fair. People should just be allowed to believe what they believe, love who they love, do what they want to do, and with no judgment.
Yeah.
No judgment. And there's judgment that comes from everywhere on so many different levels.
And that brings us back to a beautiful podcast where we just want to embrace people for who they are rather than trying to change. Because all my life, I was forced to bend down and be changed for somebody else because I was in a relationship until I met my husband, Anthony.
And my whole
felt
life,
so powerless. Like I was fighting against the current.
in my whole life, I led the life that other people wanted me to lead. While it was a progressive life where women ran the world and were successful and, didn't bow down to men and, could, not depend on men and take care of ourselves and whatever and be successful, I still was doing what other people wanted me to do. And it wasn't until I entered non-monogamy that I started living the life that I want to live without being afraid, without being ashamed, without fearing judgment. And I'm going to do what makes me happy. And this is what makes me happy. While it may not be the path that other people had outlined for me many years ago when they set me on that path, it's my path. And it's the path that I need to be on.
Oh, it feels so amazing. Yeah. I can't even say, like, I'm totally like blossoming hearing you saying that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the whole idea of Pajama Party is to empower women.
Yes.
And I know it's a broad topic, and it's not for everybody, but since I've been in a open relationship format with my husband, I have learned how to speak. I have
Do you have a voice?
I have not been able to, because it was not welcome. Again, I'm too much of a woman. I'm too loud. I'm too vibrant. I'm too whatever it is. I'm all of that.
Says who?
Hmm?
Says who?
Society.
I don't care what other people say.
Yeah,
Society.
I know.
Right.
I don't care what since I'm 25. I've always told people, "Suck my fucking dick." You know my favorite saying, right?
That's her favorite saying. That's for
Suck
sure.
my fucking thick whatever. Suck it. And my husband says that I don't have one, but I do. It's a little tiny one, and you have to work at it. Keep at it. Keep at that pace. Do not change the pace. Do not
Don't stop.
breathe. Don't stop.
going.
I don't care what you do. Just keep sucking it, okay?
You're gonna fucking suffocate somebody one day. But anyway,
Actually, I don't like
digress.
sucking it much. Lick it, okay? Lick it, okay? Lick it and stick it, kind of thing. You know that?
Lick it is much better than suck it. But anyway,
Double penetration. Stick with your fingers. Just keep doing it at the same time.
Girl.
Oh my god,
killing me right now.
love it. So, empowerment of women. That's all so this whole show, I was vibrating with this understanding of how wonderful it's been to see a show like that exists now, where we can actually talk about the real life. Okay, she's a podcaster. She's
a
talking
podcaster.
about sex, and I remember the dinner table, the brunch with the mother and her father, and the mom is like, "So you actually talk about sex in your podcast?" And she was like, "Yeah, we talk about everything and anything, of course, and part of it is sex. This is how you make a living, right?" And she's like, "Yeah,
Yeah, it's my job, right?
it's my job." Yeah, so it's kind of and now I know it's more and more normalizing through exposure, basically.
Normalizing through, and that's what she basically said. The same thing we have been talking about over and over and over again, right? Making it easier to talk about these things and normalizing what we do. And like that was a theme throughout. Like she wanted to validate her podcast, right? When people would say it was about sex, or we want to make it sexier, or they wanted to change the name to bring sex to the forefront.
Yeah.
Right. She was like, but there's more. There's the empowerment. There's more. There's the empowerment. And that's what we talk about all the time. Yes. A lot of our life revolves around sex because we have multiple partners and we talk about sex on our podcast. But it's more about the relationships, and the empowerment. And that's the overall theme. So she was speaking our language.
We adore her, love her. And I mean, whoever came up with this new age Netflix original.
Yes, a new age rom-com.
I adore them. The way they did everything was just unbelievably perfect. Like I would not change anything. It was comedy. It was funny. Her sister Morgan was amazing character. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more to it, but we're not going to analyze the whole 10 episodes. We just wanted to bring that into our podcast and say thank you so much, Netflix, for allowing us to talk about this and in the real life.
Draw some parallels, right?
It's brand new. It's here. Highly recommend for you to watch it. I spoiled some of it. I'm sorry. But in the long run, it's all about creating community with like-minded people, basically. I always say that. Surround yourself with people that are actually positive, that actually want to be open, and don't be afraid to ask. I always tell Ava, ask. There are two ways it can go, yes or no. And that is all. What are you afraid of? In your head, you're playing chess and you don't know, like you are 77 steps ahead. However, it is much simpler sometimes. You just have to be vulnerable and you have to let people guide you, because if they see you're struggling, how many times I've asked people for help and they show up because they know that it's not that I'm always asking whatever, but sometimes you need to ask because you can't do it on your own. We wouldn't be able to do this on our own right now. We have a variety of people that are coming to our world and helping us in so many different ways, and that is what's important in this. And also not to lose yourself, like what she was talking about. I can't do this or whatever. That is so important, because people gonna come and they're gonna want to change you. Like when she was branding, like when when the other people came and they wanted to take over and then like expand their brand and whatever, and they want to change the name. She's like, no, this is not whatever. So you have to really truly believe in yourself and your authentic self of who you are and what you're doing this for. And then don't let anybody push you in any way.
That's right. I think it's easier to be remolded than to fight to stay true to yourself, right? But it's totally worth the fight. And that's what we do every single day. We stay true to ourselves and we encourage other people to live their authentic life too.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about, my beautiful friend?
I encourage anyone who hasn't seen it to check out Netflix. Nobody Wants This. If you have thoughts on the show or how it parallels your life, feel free to reach out and send me an email at avawantsmore@gmail.com. Don't forget, we're also taking salacious stories from our listeners. Ladies, if you want to be on the podcast with, put your little own stamp on the pajama party, send us either a 5-minute audio clip, or you can write out your story for either Pinky or I to read. And we will share your salacious story during one of our upcoming episodes.
And I am going to attach a poem later. I'm going to read it out loud. It's a little long version. It's 4 minutes long, I think. I'm not going to do this right now. It's all about women empowerment and how I can't find it right now, but I'm going to attach it to the notes.
What is it called?
I'm too much of a woman or something like that. Can't find it right now.
All right, so make sure everybody checks out a Pinky original poem that we will be attaching in the show notes. That's all about women's empowerment.
Yes. On that note, I think we covered it all. Highly recommend to watch it. Let's be authentic selves, our authentic selves. We goddesses. Let's just explore and keep talking about necessities for us to stay true to ourselves and to our core.
Thank you, my friend. And everyone, stay salacious.
Until we meet again. Bye, everybody. I Am a Too Much Woman by Whitney. Note: this writing is inspired by and dedicated to all the too much women I have worked with, whom very bravely and against all odds rise. There she is. Too much woman, the one who loves too hard, feels too deeply, asks too often, and desires too much. There she's taking up too much space with her laughter, her curves, her honesty, her sexuality. Her presence is as tall as a tree, as wide as a mountain. Her energy occupies every crevice of the room. Too much space she takes. There she's causing a racket with her persistent wanting, too much wanting. She desires a lot, wants everything, too much happiness, too much alone time, too much pleasure. She'll go through brimstone, murky river, and a hellfire to get it. She'll risk all to quilt the longing of her heart and body that makes her dangerous. She is dangerous. And there she goes, that too much woman, making people think too much, feel too much, swoon too much. She with her authentic prose and self-assuredness in the way she carries herself. She with her belly laughs and her insatiable appetite and her pronouncedness to fairy passion. All eyes on her, thinking she's hot shit. Oh, that's too much, woman. Too loud, too vibrant, too honest, too emotional, too smart, too intense, too pretty, too difficult, too sensitive, too wild, too intimidating, too successful, too fat, too strong, too political, too joyous, too needy, too much. She should simmer down a bit by taking down a couple of notches. Someone should put her back in her a proper, respectable place. Someone should tell her, here I am, a too much woman with my tender heart and too much emotions, an hedonist, feminist, pleasure seeker, empath. I want a lot: justice, sincerity, spontaneity, ease, intimacy, actualization, respect, to be seen, to be understood, your undivided attention, and all of your promises to be kept. I will be called high maintenance because I want what I want, and intimidating because of the space I occupy. I've been called selfish because I'm self-loving. I've been called a witch because I know how to heal myself, and still I rise. Still I want and I feel and I ask and risk, and I take up space. I must. Us, too much women, have been facing extermination for centuries. We are so afraid of her, terrified of her presence, of the way she commands respect and wills the truth of her feelings. We've been trying to stifle the too much woman for eons, in our sisters, in our wives, and in our daughters. And even now, every day, we shame the too much woman for her bigness, for her wanting, for her passionate nature, and still she thrives. In my own world, and before my very eyes, I'm witnessing the reclamation and rising up of too much woman. Too much woman is also known to some as a wild woman or a divine feminine. In any case, she's me, she's you, and she's loving that she is finally getting some airtime. If you have been called too much or overly emotional or bitchy or stuck up, you are likely a too much woman. And if you are, I implored you to embrace all that you are, all of your depth, all of your vastness, not hold yourself in and never abandon yourself, your bigness and your radiance. Forget everything you've heard. Your too muchness is a gift. Oh yeah, one that can heal inside, liberate, and cut straight into the heart of things. Do not be afraid of the gift and let no one shy you away from it. Your too muchness is magic, is medicine. It can change the world. So please, too much women, ask, seek, desire, expand, more, feel, be. Make your waves, fan your flames, give us chills. Please rise. We need you. Oh my God, what a wonderful poem that is. Whitney, thank you so much for such a wonderful poem that you have created. And I resonate with that poem to such a core that I'm totally living that poem right now, breathing and enjoying it. Thanks, listeners, for tuning in and be interested in this particular aspect of us empowerment of women with our podcast. And I totally resonate with the Nobody Wants This Netflix original that we just did a conversation with Ava Moore. Let's embrace us. Let's make your waves, fan your flames, and give us chills. And we'll keep in touch. Kisses and hugs.